You know what's weird, Bo? Is the chemtrails aren't showing up. They're blanked out. Now, how can that be? They're wide and bright. So this is the 15th of October. About 7:24, I believe, in the morning. And the chemtrails are, the whole sky is blanketed. But you can't see the definition in this video that I'm taking. It's fascinating. I'm looking at wide white band streaks underneath the heavy blanket that you see on the top. And they're not distinguishable in the video. It's fascinating because they're so wide, I mean, and bright, highlighted by the sun coming up behind. It's one of those little anomalies that happen with my camera that are curiosities. You can see that the sky is blanketed really heavy, and as the sun comes up, the highlights show the pocketing from the Haarp activity. This is what America is suffering from right now. People that have no respect for nature, that feel that they have the right to desecrate anyone and everybody's airspace, and no concern. If you listen to Dr. Gosh, I can't think of her name right now. I just got gassed all night, so my brain and short-term memory are damaged. But if you listen to her videos that I put up, which I'll try to do today again, she explains the fact that, you know, this is global, that the chemicals themselves are inherently created to assist Agenda 21, which is the New World Order's objective to eliminate everyone except for, 500 million, I believe. It's written on the Georgia stones, which I've also posted pictures of. My throat is raw from the poisoning that has been going on 8 weeks at this location. It's been many more than that, but it continued here with a flourish, brazenly in front of everyone. So all I can tell you is the elite are known to be privileged to a blood washing that others are not, you know, accessing. It's not dialysis. It's more complex removal of toxins in the blood. And this is why many of them have no concern. They just go get that done and then they feel fine. That doesn't make it healthy. It doesn't mean that the damages won't show up. They'll certainly be delayed. But every day, every breath, you're breathing in this, depositing in the air. Native Americans knew from the beginning that you don't walk upon earth and spit on it. In fact, yesterday, I was coming through a sudden construction zone, which ironically happens wherever my path or journey takes me. And then the Masonic factor kicks in, and they stand there and hold you and don't let you go forward with that slow or stop sign. And no one coming from the other direction, just making you stop, you know, that type of thing. So this character was spitting on the ground repeatedly, and most likely because he had chew in his mouth. So rather than address the, you know, deadly issue of chewing tobacco and getting mouth cancer, I just rolled my window down since I was the first that was held. And I said, are you aware that in Native American teachings, if you spit on the earth, it's considered to be very poor action, because you're spitting on the very thing that's walking you, that's supporting you, that's feeding you, that's providing your food, providing your water. It's a sign of disrespect. And you shouldn't spit where you walk and where you are next to, because it's also a disrespect to those that are in your presence. And he just looked at me like he had never heard it before. He didn't reject it or pish-posh. He did hear me, but mostly because I think he had chew. And he didn't want to reveal that he had a mouthful of crud. But here's the thing. There's increased effort to eliminate and kill every activist I know. I have not seen such a hit list in my life, and I'm 61 years old now. There are so many reports happening globally of an escalation of attempt to eliminate all whistleblowers and even just those that are in the quote-unquote program for targeting, which is all also part of the mind control efforts, which are in unity with the metal particulates, the global warfare, and the Haarp microwaving. All of these towers can be turned into a deadly weapon at the flick of a switch and literally eliminate everybody in a radius. When I was living in Traverse City raising my children, I actually ran into a young man who at the time I believe was 28, if I recall correctly. And I never went out, but this one particular night, a friend of mine convinced me to. And I think maybe the time that I was up there for 15 years, I went out maybe half a dozen times. So that's how rare it was. And when I got to this place that had live music, which was the only thing that would motivate me to go to a bar, or good people that I love or know, that would do it too. But anyway, we get there, and this fellow that I engage with while waiting for our drink to be brought to the counter says to me that his father is the one that owns the company that puts up these towers. Now back then, this was, probably 20 years ago now, I wasn't familiar with all of the purposes of the towers and the microwaving and the Haarp. I was not researched in that area yet. I was dealing with local water contamination issues and toxic carpet indoor air pollution issues. I was fighting everybody else but. So since then I've learned. But at the time I just looked at him and I said, well, thankfully there's people like you that aren't afraid of heights, or we wouldn't be able to talk on our cell phones believing the PR that the towers were for phone use. But people seem to be very blind when it comes to their positioning of these huge towers. Almost every single time they're right on top of schools, hospitals. Now schools, kids can't get on that cell phone to call. They're supposed to have it put away during school hours. So you see, the logistical thinking is people will think it's for the added phone traffic, but it's not. It's to have a wider group affected by that tower sitting on top of playgrounds, government buildings. And if you recall, there was actually an expose which revealed the use of these weapons at the Russian embassy by Americans. And that went bye-bye and got hushed up pretty effectively. So we are the country that has rogue, organized crime organizing the effort. And if we do not take a stand and decide that we need to roust out those that are corrupt and either confront them or prosecute them and get it to stop, we have no future. We are on the brink of World War III. It is not going to be deterred with apathy, neglect, ignorance. None of those factors will allow us to survive. None. And so I suggest that everyone get their voices, frogged or not from chemical abuse, and speak up. If you can't even bother to make a comment on people that are sharing the information with you and risking their lives, then you really have no vested interest in the fact that you are walking on planet Earth. You take it for granted, and you need a wake-up call. Good morning. This is your wake-up call. This is October 15th, 2016. Do you know where you are? You are a member of humanity. You are on planet Earth. You have a responsibility to stop corruption. Everyone has enough if they treat each other with kindness and generosity. There's no shortage of food. It's being held in limbo for mechanisms of financial greed. Wake up. This is the new day. Have a good one.